So please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The roll, please.
Belkey,
Here.
Belzak,
Here.
Clistic, Kenny,
Here.
Marquez,
Here.
McIver,
Here.
Shower,
Here.
6 present.
We have a quorum. The next item is the questions and comments opportunity for announcements from anyone in the audience. If anyone wants to address the city council at this point, it does not have to be on an item that's on the agenda this evening, just something that you would like us to address. If there's nothing from the audience, I'd like to move to the approval of the minutes of September 21st, 2015. Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Belkey, seconded by Alderman Shower. Any additions or deletions for the clerk? Then the roll, please.
Belkey,
Aye.
Shower,
Aye.
McIver,
Abstain.
Marquez,
Aye.
Belzak,
Aye.
Kenny.
Abstain.
We have 4 ayes, 1 absent, and 2 abstentions.
Have the minutes been approved?
Yes.
Let's move to receiving of communications. Do any of the aldermen have communications to share?
Well, I think, I don't know how the mail's distributed throughout the, throughout Darien, but I think we're all starting to see the property tax reassessments coming through. So as far as that goes, I think you're talking about possibly trying to get the
County,
Road
the township assessor to come in and speak to us.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think the sooner the better, because there's such a finite timeline for residents to protest that reassessment. So I think the sooner the better. So, and also so residents know that she'll be here and be able to attend the meeting as well.
Very good.
It's only a 30-day window.
Yeah, it's very
So
short.
if she's not here at the next meeting, it's too late.
Right, right. We should have a special meeting for that then.
That sounds like a great idea, because I've been pressing staff to make sure she gets in here. I mean, it's just, we need an explanation of how it works.
I know she appeared at the District 86 board meeting before in the past, so I don't know if maybe if there's some other schedules in the area that we can combine with. If she doesn't have the time to do them all, we can check to see what her schedule is.
If she would return a phone call, maybe we could find that out. So we'll be working on that. You have my permission to stalk her, to get her to
Well, Kathy Abadi's on our board.
that is
So I
correct.
wonder if she could assist in getting that audience here.
That would be a great idea to reach out to the board. And Kathy Abadi is a Darien resident. Okay. Okay, let's move to, if there's no other communications from the council, let's move to the mayor's report, and I have a number of proclamations to read this evening. Yes. The first one is the Fire Prevention Month. Thank you very much. Whereas smoke and poisonous gases are the leading causes of death and fires and can kill a person long before the flames will, and whereas underestimating the power of the fire and the time it takes to escape a home fire put people at severe risk of fire death and injury, and whereas developing a home fire escape plan and practicing it at least twice a year is critical to escape a fire safely, and whereas it is imperative that multi-story homes and commercial buildings are equipped with working smoke detectors and fire alarms, and whereas a complete home escape plan, which includes each household member knowing 2 ways out of each room, designating an outdoor location to meet when out of the house, and remembering the local fire emergency phone number, and whereas NFPA, the official sponsor of fire prevention, has documented many lives have been saved as a result of having all homes in Illinois equipped with smoke detectors, and whereas the members of the fire service are dedicated to the safety of lives and property from the devastating effects of fire, And whereas the members of the fire service are joined by other concerned citizens as well as other emergency service providers, safety advocates, businesses, schools, service clubs, and organizations in their fire safety efforts. And whereas fire prevention commemorates the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which killed more than 250 people, left 100,000 homeless, and destroyed more than 17,400 buildings. And whereas for nearly 80 years, an FPA has successfully joined North American fire departments each year during Fire Prevention Week in a shared mission of making the public safer from fire. Now therefore, I, Kathleen Weaver, Mayor of the City of Darien, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2015 as Fire Prevention Month and urge the residents of the City of Darien to participate in fire prevention activities at work and school to ensure their safety and the safety of their families and friends in the event of a fire. Do we have anyone in the audience to accept this evening? Okay, we'll put that one aside. And then it gives me great pleasure to read the next mayoral proclamation for Filipino American History Month. Whereas Filipino Americans make up one of the largest Asian American ethnic groups in the United States, and whereas Filipino Americans have contributed greatly to the economic, intellectual, spiritual, social, cultural, and political vitality of the United States, and whereas the trustees of the Filipino American National Historical Society established Filipino American History Month and promoted its observance annually and nationally throughout the United States and its territories during the month of October, and whereas the celebration of Filipino American History Month provides an opportunity to celebrate the heritage and culture of Filipino Americans and their immense contributions to our country. Now therefore, I, Kathleen Weaver, Mayor of the City of Darien, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2015 as Filipino American History Month and urge all residents to celebrate the heritage and culture of Filipino Americans and their immense contributions to our country. And tonight we have Tony and Mila Avilariat here to accept the proclamation. So I know we want to take a photograph. So would you please come up and we'll do that. Oh, this
Wow.
guy
Heavy duty.
this guy is
Nice.
so good. I'll tell you.
The original selfie stick.
Right up here? Yes, signed it well.
That is
Okay.
China.
Okay. I was wondering how we were going to do this, but this is great.
Oh.
You want to do another one? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Congratulations. Thank you.
On behalf of the Filipino community in Darien and other suburbs and the state of Illinois, I would like to thank Mayor Weaver and members of the council for giving us this honor by proclaiming October as the Filipino American History Month. The United States and the Philippines are intertwined in history. We were a colony of the United States since the Treaty of Paris in 1898, but we were under the Spaniards for at least 3 centuries.
Yeah.
When Commodore Dewey defeated the Armada in Manila Bay, the Treaty of Paris ceded the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico to the United States. The United States, in areas of colonization, has treated the Filipino people very well. And the greatest legacy that we got from the American people is democracy, which is a government for the people, by the people, and of the people. And we are very thankful for that. And of course, everybody knows that during the Second World War, the Filipinos fought under the American flag because The Japanese at that time in December bombed Pearl Harbor and also went to the Philippines and bombed Clark Air Base. And the U.S. government granted us actually independence July 4th. And we have been celebrating for many years July 4th, which is the same as
Yeah,
Independence
States.
Day of the
Yeah.
United States. And we are very thankful for this continued friendship that we have with American people. And on behalf of the Filipinos, we are very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Very nice, very nice. And I'd like to read a third proclamation. And this is for an organization that we all know very well. And I think most of us at this board have probably coached, or at least at a minimum had our children play in the DYC. So this next proclamation is to honor the Darien Youth Club. Whereas the Darien Youth Club is a recreational sports club that has served the youth of Darien and surrounding towns since 1960, and whereas the Darien Youth Club programs are 100% volunteer run, there are no tryouts, every child plays and every child has fun. And whereas the Darien Youth Club is a club for every child and it will remain that way as long as it is in existence. And whereas without the vision of the founders of the Darien Youth Club, we would not have the historical club we have today. And whereas the Darien Youth Club is thankful to the thousands of volunteers and supporters over the past 55 years for all the hard work and dedication, and whereas the Darien Youth Club is older than Darien itself. And whereas the first game was on a donated field built by the Marion Hills Homeowners Association, where the Southeast Hinsdale South parking lot stands now. And whereas the Darien Youth Club was originally named the Lace Marion Hills Youth Club until 1972. And whereas the first girls' activity with the Darien Youth Club was as baseball cheerleaders. Cheerleaders? Okay. And whereas the Darien Youth Club started out with only volunteers and support from the community and continues that same tradition today, now therefore, I, Kathleen Weaver, Mayor of the City of Darien, do hereby proclaim October 6th in honor of the 55th year celebration of the Darien Youth Club. And I know that we have David Leatherwood here to accept the proclamation. David, you want to come forward? And did you want to get a picture? Or, oh, you do? Okay. All right, let's. Oh, good. Okay. Master photographer, right? Come on up front, David. Thank you for being the current president and keeping it going. Yes.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, under the mayor's report, we now move to our annual financial report. And Treasurer Corn, did you want to introduce us to the gentleman that's going to do the presentation?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This evening we have Jason Askin of the accounting firm of Sickich and Company here to present our annual audit. Last month they did a fuller presentation before the Finance Committee, so tonight I'll basically summarize those results and open it up to any questions that the other members of the council may have and interested in asking them. This is, I believe, our 8th year that they've been doing our city audit, done a fine job. We've had a nice relationship over a lot of years, and ask Jason to come up and present whatever he intends on presenting.
All right, thank you, Mike. As Mike mentioned, Jim Savio is the audit partner.
Jason, could you lift the mic up here just a bit so it's, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Right in
Is that
there.
better?
Yes, it's, we need it for the cameras, you know, the audio.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having me. As Mike mentioned, the Finance Committee met with Jim Savio, who's the audit partner, and previously approved the AFR and went through it in great detail. So the primary purpose of what I'd like to talk about tonight is really just to communicate the results of our audit to the full board, and then also go through the items that we're required to communicate under our audit as part of generally accepted accounting auditing standards. So for those of you who'd like to follow along and have the AFR in front of you, if you turn to the first page of the table of contents, you'll note that the AFR consists of the introductory section, the independent auditor's report, the MD&A, the basic financial statements, and the required supplementary information. Our audit opinion can be found on page 1 of the report. It's titled Independent Auditor's Report. And I'd just like to point out that this is the only piece of the annual financial report that we prepare. The rest is the responsibility of management, and their management's responsible for the fair preparation and presentation of these financial statements. This is our standard audit opinion. The first paragraph specifies the scope of the audit engagement, which is an audit of the financial statements of the governmental activities, the business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information, and also the related notes to the financial statements. The next 2 paragraphs on this first page specify the division of responsibilities that the auditor, it again reiterates that the auditor's responsibility is the expression of opinion on the financial statements based on the results of our audit procedures. If you turn to page 2, the second page of the audit opinion, or the independent auditor's report, the first paragraph at the top is the actual opinion, which is an unmodified opinion, which is the best opinion that you can receive for an audit that was performed under generally accepted auditing standards. The third paragraph down on the second page just highlights that the required supplementary information is not subject to the full scope audit procedures that the basic financial statements are. Turning forward a few pages, you'll find the management's discussion and analysis, which is included in the AFR, and this provides additional information that's prepared by management, provides additional information that can't be seen in comparative. It provides additional information and comparative information that's not part of the basic financial statements, since the basic financial statements are just single year. Turning forward to page 4 of the of the AFR, we have the statement of net position, which is the balance sheet for the governmental activities and business type activities of the city of Darien. This statement is presented on the full accrual basis of accounting, as is the statement of activities on the subsequent page. Turning to page 7, we can see the governmental fund balance sheet, which provides columns for each of the city's major funds and the aggregate remaining non-major information. The governmental fund balance sheet is presented on the modified accrual basis of accounting, and on pages 8 and 10, we can see the reconciliations from the governmental funds statements to the government-wide statements. On page 16, you can see the beginning of the notes to the financial statements. These contain all the disclosures that are required under financial statements prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. These disclosures are relatively consistent with what's been presented in the past. One change that I wanted to highlight is note 10. The city implemented GASB 67 as of April 30th, 2015, and the standard significantly expanded the disclosures surrounding pension plans. So as a result, footnote 10 has been expanded by about 5 or 6 pages, I believe. And that was all the highlights that I had on the annual financial report. If there are no questions on that, we can move on to the board communication and the auditor's communications under generally accepted auditing standards. So for those of you who are following along, if you have the board communication in front of you, we have all of our required communication with those charged with governance included in this information. And basically, we're required to disclose if there are any difficulties encountered in performing our audit, if there are any disagreements with management, any significant accounting estimates, or significant changes in accounting policies. And there were none, so all of the information presented in this letter is our standard required communication. We're also required to communicate any adjusting journal entries or past adjustments that we noted as a result of our audit. And adjusting journal entries consist of those that were identified during our audit as part of our procedures. And we presented all of those adjustments to management, who agreed with our proposal and recorded those adjustments into the city's accounts. So all of the adjusting journal entries are reflected in the AFR. Past adjustments are those items that were insignificant and weren't required to be recorded, but were above our threshold for simply being able to pass on them. But they're not required to be recorded in the financial statements, but they are required to be communicated, so they're included in this communication. Oftentimes we issue a management letter, and we're pleased to report that there were no significant deficiencies or material weaknesses in internal control that we were required to communicate. So that's good. Upcoming GASB pronouncements. The biggest one that is coming up for the coming year is GASB 68, which, as we discussed previously, GASB 67 expanded the disclosures for pension liabilities. GASB 68 will require that the net pension liability be recorded on the statement of net position on the government-wide financial statements. And that'll be implemented for April 30th, 2016.
Okay, so that will be another additional report that will be included with the audit.
It will just be a standard that's implemented into the financial statements for the AFR. So it's a change that's upcoming for the coming year.
We spoke about that previously, Council, I don't know if you recall, but that's where we are going to be required to record as a liability our pension obligation that up till now has basically been disclosed in a footnote. We will have to actually disclose it in our balance sheet as a liability, record that as a liability.
Okay.
Beginning next year. We've been aware of that for several years that this was coming down the road.
Okay.
So it will have a significant impact next year.
Yeah, and that's for all governments that have pension plans, so it's not anything specific to the city. That's impacting everyone on the horizon. As we discussed, the audit went smoothly. I enjoyed working with Paul and Marie on the audit. This was my first year as a manager on the city of Darien, but as Mike said, Sikich has been the accounting firm for a while. But yeah, we really enjoyed working with Paul and Marie, and the audit went smoothly, and they were more than happy to accommodate all of our requests and questions during the audit. So, are there any questions that I might be able to answer?
Well, it's not really a question, I guess, then I'll open it up for them. I guess because this is being recorded and going out to the viewing audience, and to be honest with you, you know what you said, I know what you said, but I think the average person out there probably doesn't have a clue as far as what was just said, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way, it's just sort of the way accounting gibberish is presented. I think the thing that's important to note is that you basically agree with our financial statements. You're saying that our financial statements are presented in conformity with accounting principles. You did testing to try to verify that you're comfortable that the amounts we're representing are accurate. And I guess for the viewing audience, I think the important thing is to show that we are financially strong, representing general government activities with about almost $15 million in fund balance, and business activities, our water fund, with about $5 million. So again, I think not to shortcut it, but I think for the viewing audience out there, hopefully that's something a little more meaningful than the specifics as far as going through the detail. But again, I think I just wanted to summarize that and then open it up to, again, council members that you may have more questions of either Jason or myself or whoever.
Alderman Schauer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Michael, do you want to talk about our pension funding percentage drop because of what the state implemented? I thought that might be important.
That's a good point. We were probably going to go into that in a little more detail as we talk about the police pension actuarial report when we go through that. But the funding percentage in our police pension fund is decreasing from approximately, you can see in the footnotes in these financial statements, that's that expanded footnote number 10 that he was discussing. The funding percentage is decreasing from approximately 63% down to about 59 and a fraction percent this year. That's because there was a change in the actuarial method used, basically the actuarial assumptions, which extends the anticipated life expectancy of the retired officers. So we've actually been funding it at 100%, which the law only requires us to fund it at 90%. So we have been aggressively funding it. We would have actually been funded at 64% if the actuarial assumptions hadn't changed on us. But again, we'll get into that in a little more detail when we go through the actuarial report. But for purposes of this, just a quick summary, yes, it is decreasing, but for a reason, well,
Beyond our
the
control.
pensions are totally out of our control anyway.
Not because of a lack of something
Right.
we've done.
Not because of lack of support. Actually, we're funding it on a more aggressive basis than we're required to, which I'm a firm believer in. If our liability is 100%, I believe we should fund it at that. Again, we'll talk about that at levy time.
When is the actuary coming out? the report?
We've got the report, Brian, I don't know.
It'll
when
be
you
in the
had it on
packet
agenda.
in 2 weeks.
Okay.
With the truth in taxation, we'll have a tax levy determination, and we'll include that report then.
Okay.
And I'd like to go through the details of that report with the council, if it's okay at that time. I think it's very appropriate. I'd like you to see the details behind it.
Is Tim Sharp still our actuary?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions for Jason? Alderman Belke?
Yes, I have questions that revolve around the management letter.
Sure.
And number one is understandable, and I think we come across that all the time. That has to do with timing and sales tax revenues. But number two, if you can comment on I guess the staff can comment on some of this too, is how this process is working, and with the suggestion that we do this on a monthly basis, if somebody could just fill me in with more information.
Just so I understand correctly, are you referring to number 2 on page 15?
I'm referring to the management letter on the first page, in regards to the building permits and the accounts receivable reconciliation procedure. The audit is suggesting that this is done on a monthly basis. This one?
We're looking at the memo, which are you? Oh, page, the audit adjustments. What are you at?
What, yeah, I'm,
What
I'm,
day
This one.
I'm having trouble
It's
finding
I'm
on
in
page
the-
16. It's on page 16. It's
Page 15.
one of the deficiencies
Okay.
was that
Oh.
I'm,
Page 15 of the auditor's
page,
communication.
yeah, page 16. Number 4 was listed as a
building,
deficiency.
okay, I
Yeah.
found it now. It is on page 16 in the management report.
Okay,
Right.
I guess one thing to point out is on pages 15 and 16, this is the status of the prior year comments. So this was a comment that we had previously as of 4/30/14, and we note in the status for the current year that it's still applicable as of 4/30/15.
This, I know what you're saying, but I don't see that as the Appendix A, which is all your prior deficiencies. Unless it's number 4 under building permits reconciliation. Is that the one we're talking about?
Yes.
Was that the one?
But it says comments still applicable as of April
This was brought
30th.
out with the audit of 2014, but the comment now is that it's still applicable, yes.
Right.
Right, and
Yeah.
I have addressed that for going into the fiscal year 16. We're now doing reconciliations where we have separated the receipts to the building.
Can we get a
permits.
microphone over to Marie, because she's not getting,
Can you hear me now?
that's better.
Okay, so I have addressed this going into the fiscal year 16. We're now pulling the receipts done with the building permits, and I'm doing a separate reconciliation monthly. Going into the financial statements, it'll also be a reconciliation where we grab all the receipts and we're making sure that the sum total agrees with our account disclosures.
So in the past, how often did we do it then?
In the past, it was through our cash reconciliation. So this was just more so highlighting the actual building permits, the special fund that we have for it.
Okay.
It was done in an overall scheme. Now this is actually specializing the building permits.
Okay, great. And then also regarding something that is still applicable would be, let's see, number 1, which was,
The proposed audit adjustments.
mhm,
We have continued to make progress in getting Sickage, our auditors, the adjustments that they need. However, due to timing of when they perform their final field work, we just have not received the information needed to get the adjustments. We have I believe it's some tax information, some tax revenue information that we don't receive until July. So there's estimates that need to be done beforehand.
Yeah, I can address that a little bit too,
Mhm.
Alderman Belke. One of the other things, if you remember, after the end of the fiscal year, April 30th, we generally have 2 warrants that we're approving almost every meeting thereafter because we continue getting bills relating back to April 30th. Well, my intent is to try and get the auditors in as quickly as possible so we can get this information to you while it's still useful. Even now, we're in October for an April 30th year end. The only way to truly eliminate this point would probably be to postpone the audit where we wouldn't be getting this information for another month. So in my mind, I'm very comfortable, even if we have this comment on there every year, I'd rather have this comment and still get the audit report on a more current basis to the council as opposed to postpone it and eliminate the comment just because we just really physically can't get the information in time. Hopefully that answers your
Yeah.
question.
It does, and out of the 4 that there was deficiencies last year, so half of those have been corrected. One was regarding the payroll systems and tracking of vacation, sick, et cetera, and then the other one was the capital assets. So that's good to see that that has been implemented.
Yeah, and number 4 should be implemented, and like I say, number 1, I would anticipate seeing
Okay.
every year on there,
Mhm.
unless the council disagrees with me and would rather postpone it, like I say, but I'd rather get the audit done sooner to catch anything that might be an issue and have that comment rather than postpone it and not get the comment.
And I guess one other thing, maybe, Mike, you can speak to this. This has to do a little bit with the levying of the taxes that's, was just discussed today in the admin finance meeting. But when I looked at the numbers for the taxes inside here, there was a, percentage increase. And maybe you can just explain a little bit about what the city's doing as far as the debt component of it.
Yeah, we'll see as we bring, I believe, I'm not sure, is it the next meeting we're going to bring the tax levy to the council? Or
We'll bring the
within
tax levy determination, which is, predates the actual ordinance that'll be done in December.
Okay, so that'll be coming in December, so not quite the next meeting.
Well,
but
I'm sorry, Mike, but it will, what we did tonight at the
Tonight will
admin
come to the
committee
next
will
meeting.
come to the next council
Okay.
meeting, but that's a predetermination. It's just not the actual ordinance approving the levy.
But to address your question, what you're concerned about, she saw that real estate taxes in one account went up fairly dramatically, but what she wasn't aware of, when we levy the taxes, our taxes have stayed fairly constant the last several years, and it just depends. What we did this year is we approved the prepayment of a bond that we had that we were paying 3.5–4% on. We had the cash available in our accounts, so at my suggestion and with the approval of the council, we decided to prepay that to save the higher interest rate, since we're only earning 65 basis points on our account on the money that we have there. So it's saving us quite a bit of interest over that period of time. So the amount that you see levied is basically covering that prepayment, and the amount that you're going to be seeing what's brought forward to you will make it look like the actual tax levy is going up, which it is, but then the bond levy will be going
Right.
down. We're just going to be using those dollar amounts. So a Darien resident, if this council at budget time goes along with everything that we plan on doing, we would anticipate their real estate tax bill portion for the city of Darien would approximate the same total that we have this year, assuming the council goes along with that, which I'm not hearing anything contrary. We don't know what the state is going to be doing at this point. But a person's real estate tax bill, even though it looks like there's a shift in numbers, the total amount on their bill is not anticipated to change. I think that's what you were
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
trying to
because
get
if
across.
you didn't know the details behind it, there was a
Mhm.
significant jump.
Any other questions for Jason?
No, I would like to also compliment Marie. This is her first year going through this, and I think she did a great job, really stayed on top of things. Jason, I think you mentioned that you've enjoyed working with her and had no issues working between her and Paul, and again, I think she's done a great job, especially considering this is her first year working through it and responding to things in my estimation, so thank you, Marie. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah, definitely agree. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Right.
Let's move to the city clerk's report.
Just one item, Madam Mayor. The meet and greet with the mayor will take place on Monday, October the 19th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall in the upstairs conference room.
Thank you. City administrator's report.
Thank you, Mayor Weaver. One item I noted during the work session is the council goal-setting session will be held on October 27th next door at the Police Department Training Room, and we'll have the topics and agenda out typically about a week before the meeting.
Brian, do we know what time that starts yet?
We have started those in the past at 6:30.
6:30?
Yes.
Brian, I guess I just only request that's the same night the police pension fund is meeting, and just so you can let Maria know where that's going to be scheduled, because usually we have that in the police training
Yeah, I
room.
emailed her actually a few
Thank
minutes once we got it confirmed. Thanks, Mike.
Let's move to, okay, city administrator report, okay. Let's move to the department head information.
No report, ma'am.
You have no report, Dan. Chief, I believe you have an announcement to make.
bit of a deja vu here. Good evening, City Council members, Mayor, and residents at home. I announced earlier to the City Council in executive session that I would be leaving my post here at the Darien Police Department, having been offered and accepted another position. It's something that I do with a bit of very much a bittersweetness, excitement because I'm embarking on a new chapter, but bittersweet because there's so much left to do here. It's my prayer that I have served with distinction and left an impression that I've done a good job and brought honor and integrity to the office of the chief and to the city of Darien. And most importantly, that I've served well the citizens of Darien. It's been an honor to do so. So thank you all very much for the support that I've received. And the participation from the citizens has been outstanding. But we can always do more. So thank you very much.
Chief, I just have to echo those. Thank you very much for your service. It's been great.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Sounds rather minuscule by comparison, but Dan, I would just like you to mention that free leaf pickup begins this week. I've been getting questions from a lot of residents as far as when does it begin, how long does it continue, and that. If you could just make a quick announcement on that. I know it's in our Direct Connect, but not everybody gets that. And
I'd have to review the date. I don't have the information in front of me.
Mike, I'll pull it up now and we'll.
what starts
Yeah,
this
I
week?
wanna
I
say
thought
was
it
October
started this
25th.
week and goes through
Through November
25th.
28th. Yeah.
28th?
Right,
Okay.
through November 28th. So it begins today through November 28th.
All right, let's move to the treasurer's report.
Me again. This evening, I'm requesting council's approval of warrant number 151611 in the amount of $215,799.23 from the listed funds. Payroll for the period ended September 17, 2015, in the amount of $249,509.77 for a total to be approved of $465,309.
Do I have a motion to approve? Alderman Kenny, second by Alderman Belzak. Discussion. Then the roll, please.
Kenny?
Aye.
Belzak?
Aye.
Belkey?
Aye.
Shower?
Aye.
McIver?
Aye.
Marquez?
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 absent.
The warrant has been approved. Let's move to standing committee report.
Mayor, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
did you want me to just confirm the fall leaf pickup? I
Oh, did
brought
you
up-
find it?
Yeah, I
Okay, go
just
ahead.
brought up, it was on our Direct Connect again. It's the city of Darien will again be providing free fall leaf pickup to residents. The program will run from October 5th through November 28th of this year, and it takes place weekly on your normal garbage day. Leaves should be placed in a brown craft yard waste bag or in the plastic garbage cans. If you do use the plastic garbage cans, we have stickers here that we give to residents at City Hall. It says yard waste only, and that's just so the garbage company could distinguish between the different kinds of garbage out on a resident's curbside. This time of year, we always ask residents to remind them not to rake leaves into the street. If, we get all those leaves falling in any rainstorm, those inlets are blocked and could cause street flooding very quickly. So again, that's October 5th through the 28th, and we'll remind residents again in our Direct Connect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to standing committee reports. Alderman Marquez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to announce that at its last meeting, the Municipal Service Committee approved the minutes of the August 14th, 2015 meeting, and that our next meeting is October 26, 2015 at 6:30 here in the council chambers.
Police committee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I believe we submitted the signed minutes from the August 17th, is it?
It was last
Okay,
meeting.
but,
Yes.
okay, so you picked them up. And then I guess our next police committee meeting is pending agenda items, I guess, scheduled for Monday, September 19th at 6 p.m. in the police training room.
October what?
I'm sorry, it was October. Jeez.
October 9th.
October 19th?
October 19th, thank you. I can't believe it's September already. Do I got the date right?
I'll believe you. All right. Alderman Shower.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The minutes from our September 8th Admin Finance meeting have been signed and submitted to the clerk's office, and our next Admin Finance meeting will be held on Monday, November 2nd at 6 p.m. in our upstairs meeting room.
Don't say November, my God.
It's getting close.
Golly. Somebody at work mentioned how many days that Christmas, and I was ready to,
Get 'em?
yeah. It's like, I don't want to deal with that. All right, let's move on to questions, comments, agenda related. Do any of the aldermen have questions on anything on the agenda? Alderman McIver?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to maybe ask Dan for a brief update. One of the items on the consent agenda is item G, a resolution authorizing the Village of Woodridge to provide water service to the Oldfield Oaks Forest Preserve Dog Park. So I'm not sure if the residents are aware of this exciting project.
Well, the dog park is currently underway. It's been along Cheese Road. I'm not sure what information the Forest Preserve District has put out at this time. They're still working on the plans. As part of the plans, one of the things that they're looking for is a water service for the doggies for a water fountain. So with that said, while the Village of Woodridge has a water main adjacent to the property is actually within the boundary of the city of Darien. So in this case, it doesn't make sense for an adjacent municipality, in this case us, to run a water main next to theirs. So we felt that it was appropriate for the Village of Woodridge to supply them water, and we have to, per the IGA that's in place, we need city council approval for the authorization.
Dan, did they provide a time frame that this dog park may be up and available for residents and their canine companions?
No, I have not seen that yet. We did receive a plan based on our request. While I have the plan, it hasn't been finalized yet.
Okay, thanks. If you could, update us when you do get that information.
Will do.
Great, thanks.
We already had an IGA in place with Village of Woodridge for that because they have the water main that runs down Lamont Road. Because with the IGA that we had, they were already servicing some residents, businesses on the east side of Lamont Road already
Correct.
through that IGA.
Yes.
So it just made sense.
It's a
because
confusing
we,
one, too.
I know, we looked into running a water main all the way down there to handle those businesses, but it just didn't make any sense.
Correct.
So, okay. Any other questions on any of the other items on the consent agenda? Okay, anyone in the audience want to address the council on any of the items on the agenda? I have to say that, for the record. Okay. Okay, let's move to old business, and there being no old business. We have items A through N on the on the consent agenda this evening. So for the viewing audience, I'd like to ask you to look at the agenda on our website instead of me reading all of these items. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Alderman McIver, seconded by Alderman Belzick. The roll, please.
McIver.
Aye.
Belzak.
Aye.
Belkey.
Aye.
Kenny.
Aye.
Marquez.
Aye.
Shower.
Aye.
6 ayes, 1 absent.
All items have been approved. There is no items under new business, so I would like to move to questions, comments, and announcements from the alderman. Alderman Marquez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to announce and remind the public this Friday and Saturday, the Darien Lions Club will be on the corners in front of stores in Darien collecting for our annual Candy Day. Traditionally, the Darien Lions Club has, actually, I think for about the last 21 years, we've been the top money producer in the state of Illinois of all Lions Clubs, and the 60% of that money goes directly to the Lions of Illinois Foundation. So if you see one of us out on the corner this weekend, please be generous.
Any other announcements? Okay, then I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Alderman McIver, seconded by Alderman Belkey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Chief, whose car was parked in front of the doors at